Welcome back to Nice to Meet You podcast, episode 9. It's been a wee minute since we've been back, but we're back now after a short break, and today we've got DJK, James Kerr, with us from Belfast, the owner and founder of the DJK brand from Belfast, and it's really good to have you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Good to thank you for coming down. And you actually were one of the first people to kind of reach out to me. I remember you reaching out to me not that long ago. I was sitting in work in my old job, and I got a message through to you, and I think I maybe was only at like 10k followers, or maybe had just hit 10k or slightly below it on TikTok, and like you were like saying, I want to reach out to you, give you some DJK stuff. So you actually really encouraged me at a point. I know you probably don't know that,
right?
But you actually did encourage me, because I think once I got the message from you, I was like, flip, that was a big step for someone to see it and go, this can be associated with a brand.
Yeah.
And then from your text message, mate, the ball has just been rolling ever since. Like Northern Ireland and all these different businesses reaching out, and then to me doing social media on my own, to the podcast, etc. So just to thank you, actually, first of all, mate, for reaching out.
My pleasure.
It was really good for me, and I just knew from that moment it was like a turning point. I was like, I need to keep doing this.
Yeah, I think maybe sometimes it's just like just gives you that wee boost of confidence, like knowing like, fuck, they've took notice.
Yeah.
Whether you knew we were established or whatever, you're going, well, if they.
Aye, because I'd seen a few things. I remember saying to you, I seen your the promo video with like the dogs or whatever in Belfast, and I knew it was obviously a well-established brand. I knew what you were kind of doing, just through socials and that. But whenever I got it, I was like, flip, that's pretty cool. Like, I need to keep the ball rolling with this. DJK sees it, and it's been good ever since, mate. So no, thank you so much. I just think you should know that. Like,
no,
me,
definitely
for sure. But my first question, actually, I seen your Instagram story today, and your wife had shared this thing about Carl Froch.
Oh fuck!
Just to get
a question like that.
Just to get us started.
Right.
It was quite funny. I was like, does he actually believe that? So Carl Froch basically doesn't think the world's round, and then I think your wife had shared it and went, aye, someone agrees with you or something. I just thought it was funny, because I know a friend that is like a diehard believer in it.
Right.
And I must ask him, like, is that something you actually do believe, or is it just taking a hand or what?
Oh, well, you've done your research. Right, well done.
I do my research, mate. That's what I do here.
No, it's like, what way would you say it? I just don't like taking the gospel.
You're not going to take it face value, right?
No. Yeah. So I would sort of question things. I wouldn't sort of take for granted it. Like, for example, they said they've been to the moon. So is that true? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like that.
And the whole theory of like the picture and all
yes.
that. Yeah.
Coronavirus, like, I'm not going to go deep into COVID, but I wouldn't be a believer in it. And I think now, when you see things in the media, or you see people on socials now that was so strongly one way, they're now starting to go the other way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously, people was going, I'll take part to go on holiday, I'll do this, I'll do that, getting blackmailed. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it was like, now they're going, well, would you go and get an orange injection? No.
Aye.
Why not? Oh, well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we could start a whole new conversation here.
I know. We're here to talk about business and clothes, but we've been...
the world being flat. No, it's like,
it's just
I have looked into it, because I'm going like, you're here, you're on the planet, obviously you're born, and you're sort of being fed all this information, and I sort of do. As I say, when COVID came out, that's probably the most recent thing, and I was like going, doesn't seem right. It's like too much. How can you can't get vaccines for cancer and this and this and this, but you can rush out a vaccine in 5 minutes. And
it was literally 5 minutes. Like,
do you know what I mean? And as soon as you're vaccinated and I'm not, you're protected. Then it's, oh, by the way, you've got COVID now and I don't, and blah, blah, blah. So it ended up, I can't believe we started on COVID at the start. But I
thought this was an easy break-in question, like, do you believe the world's round or flat?
Oh, and I was looking at back to the world round, it was, there's these other maps and all. I started looking at it before, and it was like, there's these maps, so it's like when you get to the Arctic, obviously there's the North Pole and the South Pole.
I think I've seen this.
The other maps, so if you look, say it's like a disc, it's the whole outside of the disc is the Arctic is snow. So
yes.
It's like that's why they say their map is, like if the world was flat. So the Arctic mountains and the frozen is all around the edge, so when you travel, and they say about the curvature of the planet and all, it doesn't like dip off. Do you know what I mean? So if you're on a boat and like Gerry Adams, it doesn't.
It just keeps going.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, even guys that was in space, like they've been interviewed and all, and they were like, no, whenever we went to the moon, it was done in the movie studio and all. But don't know we editing and what to believe, what not to believe. So yeah, it was a great
What a way
subject
to
to start
start.
on there. Thank you very much for that.
Exposing the man here, like what he
I can
believes.
just see the TikTok with the caption just leading in.
DJK
I says Earth is flat.
Don't worry. That's funny actually. But back to the main subject, obviously,
Yes.
owner, founder of DJK, the clothing brand. I love my clothes, and I've shopped for loads of clothes before. You go on ASOS, Boohoo, Flannels, whatever, and there's hundreds and thousands of brands out there for everybody to buy for whatever reason they want. So what was missing from the catalogue that you felt that you had to add your brand to that?
Well, I think I've been obviously in the designer game for the past 6-7 years. Very quickly started off. I was bankrupt. Had fish and chip shops. Went bankrupt. Literally on benefits. Had loads of time. Still had the brand Stone Island in my wardrobe. It was obviously pre-owned jackets.
Yeah.
Didn't have any money. Stuck the Stone Island jackets onto eBay. Flipped the jackets. Doubled my money. Started seeing there was a market for it, and started looking, to buy and sell on eBay, and grew it very, very quickly. And flipped one jacket into 10, the 100, and kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
And then tried to find a supplier. Got a supplier in Italy. Started selling past season stock. Sort of sales stock, and sort of grew it to a point where I outgrew my spare room in my house, outgrew a lockup, and then tried to look for sort of a storage unit and stuff. So that's sort of how we got started. Ended up trying to get a store in East Belfast, obviously, and then it sort of spiraled from there.
Yeah.
Grew the brands from sort of smaller brands such as Leyland Scott, Weekend Defender, into like CP Company, Stone Island, added on Hugo Boss, and then went to all the luxury brands. But to touch on what I think was missing, I think I was ticking sort of 9 out of 10 boxes all the time. Sourcing the stock, selling the stock, obviously buying the stock, social media, what customers wanted, different price points, different brands, different ranges, and was always going like, what's missing? I'm just like a reseller. I'm buying in product, I'm buying in off brands, and having to resell basically what they've had designing and what they've manufactured, colours, styles. I'm going, but I would like combats like this, or I would like t-shirt designs like that, or I would like, different bits and pieces of my inspiration or my sort of style on them.
Yeah.
So I think when we got to a point, like probably over the past 3 or 4 years on Black Friday, like our business became famous on the internet, from pricing websites to people flying over from the UK to big queues down the road, people camping out in tents, like literally
that's cool,
massive sales. Broke all the records to the point where we couldn't really get any more growth, because the demand in the designer game, it's not as if like if you sell out of an item and you just phone up and order another 100. If you went on to the biggest stores like Selfridges or Harrods now and tried to say find a Moncler jacket, they don't have all sizes all the time. So it's not like something they're made in small quantities and made exclusive. So there is that demand.
Yeah.
So because for us being so busy, we can't fulfill the demand all the time.
Yeah.
So we sort of reached the peak, captured all the brands wanted to, all the top Italian brands.
Yeah.
And then that's when it was like, right, before COVID started actually, I flew over to China and flew to a few factories that actually a lot of Italian brands get made in and stuff. So started sourcing, looking at materials, looking at colours, looking at styles, looking at fits, packaging, labels, like literally the whole works. And then sort of started getting together what our brand identity sort of would be. And that's what we've worked on for the last 2 years. And then probably only in the past 6 months-ish, we've started ramping it up and sort of bringing it to the marketplace.
Yeah. No, and that brings us to where you're at the minute, and we will touch on where you've been before, where you're chippy in that. But right now, very recently on your Instagram and socials, you announced that you sold a designer business. You're done with that. You've done that really well, as you just said, and you're now focusing just 100% on your own brand. So how's that going for you, and what's kind of the plans for your own thing now then?
Don't get me wrong, it was scary at the time, because if you think it's your bread and butter, it's what the designer game, it pays your bills, it's, successful business.
People will buy it, don't you?
You know people,
it's going to sell.
You're banning something, all your advertising's done, your marketing's done, people are coming in actively asking for them brands.
Aye.
So literally all I need to do is...
Was that a hard thing for you to let go of that, or do you
A million percent.
You feel like you had to do it?
No, I think it's one of them ones, until I burnt the boat and couldn't go back, until I made that call. Because even I was saying to my missus, it's like I'm constantly never going to move on unless it's shut the door.
Aye.
So it was like, even in the designer game, when we were carrying stock, each season passes, you have to keep reinvesting and keep up to date with all the stock. So it's like, if I wanted to carry it on as my autumn winter 22 stock now was dwindling down, I'm actively buying spring summer 23. So for me, in that game, you're always planning 6 months in advance. So I could never break a cycle. So until I put a line in the sand and went, right, I'm thinking of selling it, obviously phoned around a few people knowing the industry. Yes, I'll buy all your stock. Yes, I'll buy your suppliers off your contacts, blah, blah, blah. Agreed the deals. And I was like, fuck, right, okay.
Shit.
Because I didn't think it would have been as quick and as easy, and it was. So it's like, right, deal's done. And then everything was sorted within a couple of days, and it was like, right.
That's mad.
It's basically starting again.
Aye.
So we're back to square one. But this time around, you're starting with all your social media followers, you're starting with your email subscribers, you're starting...
You've built up a bit of a brand for yourself.
You've built the brand, built the profile, built, repeat business, and it's now, it was more so the videos you've maybe seen recently. It's explaining, because customers still message me every single day, especially coming to Christmas now. Do you have Stone Island sweaters, blah, blah, blah. Do you have this, do you have that? And I'm like, no, mate, I've released videos the last few weeks trying to explain, because it is an education thing to try and tell people, no, we're only doing our own brand now. And people, even friends of mine, when I was selling the designer side, they were phoning me up and going like, are you all right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why would you sell something like that? And I'm like, because you don't understand, there's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
There's a ceiling limit on the designer business, and we were at the ceiling.
Yeah.
So there was nothing else to do or to accomplish or a brand to capture that we didn't do.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've ticked all the boxes. Try this. This is a new challenge. It's just a harder path.
Oh, big time.
But if you build it right and build a brand, there is no limit. There's no ceiling, because we're in control of the quantities, styles, colours, prices. We are the brand.
Yeah.
So for me, stocking brands to being a brand is a completely different animal.
100%.
And that's, I think, the natural progression.
Yeah. And I know you're the founder and owner, but are you the creative person for all this as well? Like, are you the one actively making the designs, drawing up?
Yeah, well, 90% yes, because I would be the one coming up with the concepts, the designs, the styles, the colours, the drawings, whatever it's going to be. But I'm no good at actually putting it on the paper. So I would have people doing like the CAD drawings, attack packs. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's frustrating sometimes, because even if the person's beside me, or if a freelance guy doing it over the internet, it's still like back and forward 6-8 times.
Yeah.
But in any creative process, it's going to be like that. So
of course, I'm sure you probably change your mind, like probably
yeah.
halfway through.
Yeah, because I'll see something and go, fuck, I really like that. Can we tweak this, do that? And then when you see it, obviously they still get paid, so it's like, nah, I'm not feeling it now. And then we'll go another
cancel
path.
that line. Go to
they'll interpret it a different way, and I really like that, and then it starts to come to life another wee bit.
That's pretty cool. Like, and when do you think you're the most creative? Whenever you're making these designs, is it whenever you're looking at a Gucci new release, or is it just simply you're in the shower and you just think, fuck, that's a good idea?
It's funny. It's funny. Like, obviously on an iPhone, I've just got my memo, and it's like literally you could be sitting watching a Hollywood movie and you'll see a sign saying something. It'll just be a tagline. So I add to my memo, or I'll still get like the designer files like a season ahead. So we'll see what Palm Angels is dropping, what Off-White's dropping, Gucci, and sort of see patterns, colours, spray paint, this, and you're trying to interpret, right, is that going to be as hot as what they say? Is it not? So it's trying to like, it's always a guessing game and all, but there has to be a bit of a strategy behind it as well. You can't go too mad, because obviously the stuff needs to sell and it needs to be consistent. It needs to be strong, because again, when we were banning collections, I don't know if you're familiar, say Palm Angels has a Kill the Bear t-shirt, so it's a bear with a head hanging off.
Yes.
So that's like one of their
People wear them everywhere right now.
That's one of their hotter t-shirts, but then I could show you Palm Angels t-shirts, it's terrible. So every brand has like their winners and their losers. But what I'm trying to do is trying to create a brand of winners, because I can scrap off the ones that I go, I'm not really too fussed. I want to create 8 winning designs, not 50.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So that's why you take your time and be creative with it. And I think it's good to, I think it's cool that you're the creative person as well. Obviously being the owner, sometimes you would get owners maybe and they would just be like a shadow owner and not get too involved, but it's good that you see yourself as a creative person, I think. Because a lot of people actually, I think a lot of people would relegate that creative word to maybe a certain person, or they have to like do music or something. As I remember never actually feeling really creative, like probably when I was younger, like in school and that, thinking, oh, I'm not that creative, I'm not quiet. Like I always associated creativity with like a quiet person, like drawing and like writing stuff. But I think everybody is creative in a way. I think, you're creative when you're paying your bills, like you're creative in every decision. It's like providing a solution to a problem is basically what the creativity is.
Yeah, like it's funny in my personal Instagram bio, the other week I was changing up a wee bit, and I just put the tagline "Dreamer" with the wee cloud, because I think anything, if you don't have dreams, or you don't sort of, as you say, creativity and thinking about the design, then that's 90% of the work done. So it's actually getting that concept there, and then going, fuck, that's actually a really good idea, and then it's working
just
on it.
making it a reality then,
So
really.
to me, to have a creative person between me and the brand, it would never work, because I'm trying to go, right, I've seen what's been winning the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years from the world's biggest brands. I've been in all the showrooms, I've been in the offices, I've been with the agents, I've been with the distributors. So it's like trying to take all that knowledge and go, right, how do I think I can make that combat pant better? How can I make that jacket better? What about, I'm sitting in this blue jacket, but there's 50 shades of blue. So it's not just blue, so you're having to go, right, what's the winning blue this season? What's the size and fit like? What's, pockets, zips, waist labels, bags, swing tags. It's the full like A to Z of a product that could take 120 days from that design creativity to actually getting the sample in your hand.
Yeah, and talk us through this is a sample you're wearing right now, you were saying?
Yeah, so this is going to be dropping for spring summer 23.
It's a brand new drip right here, like.
Yes, exclusive on your.
Exclusive for the pod.
Yes.
You're only seeing it right here.
No, but it's just us. Again, for me, buying the designer goods was easy in a way, because you're bread and butter. But this is like new, because I'm now
everything's a risk.
Manufacturing, which is now added a whole lead time onto it. So now in the winter when it's freezing cold, we're designing shorts, because we know it's going to take 3 to 4 months to get the shorts, which will lead you into like February, March.
Yeah.
Whereas before in the past, I was receiving my winter jackets in the summer there. So we're trying to sell winter jackets in the summer, so everything was round the wrong way.
Yeah.
So it's took me a while to sort of shift.
Kind of get the time zones back.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in line, really.
And again, quantities, shipping delays, like the war in Russia. So we were coming out of COVID, with all the deposits paid for the stock, committed to all the orders, and then obviously the war in Russia. So then everybody's on the phone. Suppliers, shipping lanes are closed, no fly zones, this. Materials, we can't get this, we can't get that. So everywhere you turned, factories were blaming COVID, factories were blaming the war in Russia. People was taking their time, and people was using it as an excuse in a lot of things as well. So everywhere you turned, you were basically fucked, because you were at the mercy of what
was going on in the world that you can't control. Like,
because the world was flat.
Exactly, because the world's flat. And back to the creative thing, like doing your own designs and that, you were saying to me earlier, it was the biggest risk you've ever done. And you've had many businesses before, the chippy, that we will touch on, but I suppose, why is this the biggest risk? I know it's because the clothes, the designers are definitely going to sell, but I guess whenever Palm Angels drops like their hot t-shirts, one with the teddy bear with the head falling off, they didn't know probably that was going to be, like a massive hit for them, like their best sell t-shirts. So is that why this is the biggest risk? You just don't know what you put out is going to be that one?
No, I think there's two sides. The first side is, again, the whole education side. So if you're a customer of mine, or you've been watching us from the outside and see the designer game, it's like, I've watched them, there's flannels, there's me, there's whoever else, and you can buy the established brands, so you're confident. And then maybe you have bought, you haven't bought, and you've seen us, and then we've brought out an unknown brand essentially. It started from zero, started from a concept, an idea, and we have to sort of build that trust factor. So you have to maybe see it on the guy on the street in Ballymena, then you have to see it on Instagram on a boxer, and then you have to see your mate buying it, and then you have to see something. So you maybe to see it 5, 10 times before you actually go, I'll give it a go. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like building that brand awareness, the confidence, the social factor. It's just like building blocks. So that's where the biggest risk comes in, because it's what we were saying. Like your bread and butter, your job's done for you. All your advertising, all them big brands, they're well known, established. So it's easy in a sense. Yeah. Whereas this is like a complete building job from.
It's like a long game, isn't it?
It's a long game. So it doesn't matter if I come to you today with 100,000 Instagram followers. It doesn't matter. Them 100,000 people don't buy into the story. Yeah. Even our followers don't buy, because it's a new brand. So they can't just automatically go, well, David says it's good, so it's good. Yeah. They have to say it, designs, it's not bad, or again, their mate's bought one, somebody needs to take their first step, and then, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but don't get me wrong, at the start, we're still doing both, and you're nearly splitting your brain in two. It's not copy and paste, because selling clothes and selling clothes, it's a completely different animal. There's so many more pieces of the puzzle for this brand. That brand's just like, it takes over, it looks after itself. So I think that's where the biggest challenge is. And for me, I think it's about challenges and about growth. And if you've ticked the box and completed that, I could have went on the next 10, 15 years of my life and just kept buying in season to season, seeing what brand's hot, what's not, just go on and go on.
Make your money, keep taking over, right? But you weren't happy doing that, like, necessarily?
I was happy, but just probably unfulfilled, because when I'm going to Italy 4 times a year, when I'm meeting all these brands, it's like they're the brand, they're dictating to me all the time. So like, right, why can I not be a brand?
You want people to come to you to, I want to supply, I want to
stock your items.
I want to stock your stuff. I want to supply that for people.
Yeah.
Like you would like it the other way around.
The other way around.
That, as you say, that's purpose.
Yeah.
That's fulfillment.
There's no ceiling limit on that, because you can grow that in the worldwide business in quantities that are, off the charts. So it's just everything starts with zero.
Yeah.
So it's like we've started, we're going now.
It's a couple of years now, isn't it? Is it 3 years, 4?
The concept and the idea was 3 years ago, so it was before COVID. Done all the research, all design development, samples, and then got deliveries, and then we were still running both. So effectively, the first DJK items were sold this time last year. So it's been going 12 months. Yeah. But technically a sideline, because the full focus and attention was still on every Instagram post we put up was still like, do you have Stone Island sweaters? Do you have Balenciaga shoes? Do you have? So it was always, that was 99%.
Nobody's buying Balenciaga anymore.
Yeah, well, that's another topic. But I think, as I say, just putting the line in the sand, putting that to the side, and now full focus is on this, which it's exciting. It's I wouldn't say daunting. I think it's we're up for the challenge. We're up for building. We're up for just expand the collection. Even like junior range. With a junior range dropping here soon, which will be from age 2 to age 14. With obviously the men's range, and then by the time you add on your men's shorts, your tracksuits, your summer jackets, it's just expanding and expanding as we go.
I would say you probably are. You are like an entrepreneur, and you're very business minded. Like I've seen your article, I've seen your other podcast episode, and you describe yourself as like a wheeler and dealer. Like you've always been trying to make money. Selling your clothes, selling the Stone Island stuff. In school, you were selling stuff to teachers as well. So just for a bit of value for like people listening and watching, how do you even start like with a business idea, with a brand, like building a brand as you are right now, and as you have done with the chippies and that? Well, how do you even build a brand? What do you go about doing?
Well, the key thing is, you said there, how do you start? It's getting started. So there's never the perfect time. So if you're going to sit back, and you're sitting on the sofa now, and I'm sitting here, and we're just chatting, it's just chat. Yeah. So until you actually put a plan in place and have like a goal or a target, you're never going to get started. So I think it's more so making the small steps. So you have a goal to have a podcast, for example. Yeah. Until you had a mobile phone in your hand, that's the first step. Until you have to get started. So you'll go, I'm not putting that out, it's crap. But you've done the first step, because your first one isn't going to be what it is today. Yeah. Exactly. And it's only going to get better and better and better. So for us, building a brand, or making the jump, or starting in the pre-owned game or whatever, it's literally just getting started. Like our first eBay listing was never having your own website. Yeah. So it's just starting. It's never like criticizing yourself and talking yourself out of it. And again, even speaking to family and friends and going, I've got this idea. 9 out of the 10 people will say, everybody will have an opinion as to why you shouldn't get started, and why it'll fail. Absolutely. And why it's crap, and why he done it and he didn't succeed, But you just have to be persistent and start. So it's like one foot in front of the other, because if you take that first step, you're already closer to there than you were there.
Than you were, yeah.
So I think it's more mindset and trying to like just literally just get started. But it's okay.
Just pick up your phone, record something.
Post it. Again, it's okay, getting started and being all over the place. But I think getting started and having a bit of a guide or a plan, and it doesn't need to be business plan, doesn't need to be like all numbers and facts. It just literally need to be, right, I like this guy that does a podcast. What does he do well? A, B, and C. Can I replicate what he can do because he's put the blueprint out there? You know what I mean?
It's true.
Same with us with brands. We'll look at aspiring brands that we like to be like. we've obviously came from a designer industry. So what does that brand do well? A, B, and C. Okay, we can, like you've seen some of our videos and some of the content we're doing. So it's like trying to go, right, you're taking ideas from, didn't always start with drones and cameramen and this, just mobile phones and shit photos on a floor. So again, I think it's just getting started because there's too much like procrastination and sitting back and waiting for the perfect day when the sun's shining and everything's great, and it's not gonna,
no, it's never like that.
No.
I know whenever I started, I wanted the podcast to be the first thing I did. Like that was all my heart was set on, was I want a podcast. I think it would be cool. Like, and I didn't actually start with this because I knew the importance of brand, and I knew that no one knows Stefan yet. So like, I'm not going to expect thousands of listeners going to be on Spotify, exclusively and all this shit. Like, I knew that people have to buy into Stefan first and like actually like Stefan. And that comes from making content. That's how I started. Being authentic on video, like having my personality out there. Whenever I am in real life, day to day, meeting people, you're treating them well, you're treating them with respect. And I think I knew the importance of like a content strategy to begin with a few clothing lines, and they're all kind of similar in the way. It was like I think one of them was like their middle name. They went with like their middle name. I know yours was David James Kerr, and then the other guys were going off like a church word. Like a popular word in the Bible. I think it was Zion or Zion, whatever way you pronounce it. And it they just never kicked off. Like, so do you think that, especially for clothing brands, just like my friends there, didn't do so well? Is it content that is building that, putting content out on social media, or because they didn't kick off?
But that's the thing. There's no kick-off time or date. So it's just about
they maybe just gave it into.
It's going back to the whole persistence thing. So like I'll use a term every day of just seeding, just putting seeds out, like constant. So it's like this week if I put 100 seeds out, some seeds are going to fall in between the cracks in the rocks. Some seeds the birds are going to come and eat. Some seeds are going to grow. So it's like you have to just constantly, constantly, and you reap what you sow. So it's like constantly on socials, constantly, banging on the door. So we'll reach out to people. Like you'll probably have seen like celebrities wearing our brand, like boxers, reality TV, footballers, music artists. Some of them have bought into the brand, and some of them have like, fuck, I really actually like this. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I'm really surprised how good it is. And I'm like, right, well, have took like nearly 3 years behind the scenes trying to build it.
It should be good. It's supposed to be good.
So that side of things, but then other ones have took a wee bit longer to get. So it's like maybe blank your DM, or like then you've went through a friend of a friend who knows them, and they're like, it's just like constantly, like it's like just banging on the door, just not taking no for an answer, and just keep going. And it's like anything, you're going to fail. So I failed at different things. Like as I said, like delivery times have failed. Product designs that initially I thought were great, we've got a wee bit mediocre, or like whether it's in the designer business, I've bought wrong that I thought was going to be hot that wasn't. I've lost money. So it's like anybody that's starting up and then if threw in the towel, you have to go overcome so many failures. So you have to accept from day one there's going to be a lot of losses. I don't even mean just financially. I mean like emotionally, mindset, like
people let you down, all that.
And then people say, I'll help you do this, and then they blank you, or people promise to buy stuff. People's going to support you on socials, never hear from them. There's loads of different things that can go wrong, but it's not just going to be win. We're as I say, back to square one. So I'm quite happy with failure now, as stupid as that sounds.
You're comfortable with that? Like,
because the more I'm failing, I'm learning. I'm just taking all the learning curves as they come at me to go right. I've over ordered. I ordered 10,000 of them. What the fuck did I order 10,000 for? Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're just going right. I need to trim that order down. Next time I do this, do that, change the material. Even now we've added on. So originally saying t-shirts, we ran 5 sizes: S, M, L, XL, 2XL, and then it was right. All 3XL guys were messaging me, do you not do a 3XL? And then like teenagers, the small was too big, so they wanted an extra small. So now I'm running 7 sizes to accommodate hopefully a bigger funnel of customers. So it's just all these wee things as I'm adapting as I go. But and what you said about people sort of not being able to kick off, it's a long-term journey.
Because you probably, when do you think you kind of kicked off, if you like to want to use that word? Like, do you feel like it was maybe 6 months, a year? Or when do you feel like, but maybe you still don't feel like maybe you haven't in a way,
No, I would
depending
say
what expectations is set, I guess. But
no, I would say the designer game, like I remember back in the designer game, I got my first order. I was still working from the house technically. I got my first order on Shopify, my phone went ting, and I'm like, fuck, brilliant. And then my missus and I was running around showing her and all, and I ended up, we shipped the order, and then it was fraud. So I lost the item, chargeback was open, lost the money. Do you know what I mean? But what does that tell you? It's a learning curve again.
Yeah.
It's a fail.
The amount of people that would have just went, fuck this.
Do you know what I mean?
It's too much hard work.
So that's like day one order. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So you can't write it, but it's like, that taught me, when you have a big day, like your Black Friday or your big summer sales, so there's loads of fraudulent orders in there. Yeah. It's up to you to filter them out and do whatever you need to do. But it's like, our designer game probably kicked off when we were crashing websites, when we were, not being able to get a server big enough to cope with the demand, and web companies going, fuck, we can't, we're struggling here, blah blah blah. Obviously hitting 100k on Instagram, like all different wee wins along the way. Yeah. To go like, this is like a good successful business.
If I keep going, there's there has to be something in this.
Yeah. So getting there, and then it's literally as me sitting here talking to you today, we're back to square one of the clothing game, but with knowledge, power, like knowing a lot of stuff about the industry to sort of build an in-house brand and a brand proud to come from Northern Ireland as well, because there's nothing really on the map.
I think you just actually said that. That's probably what helped you, is you had the experience in the fashion industry. Like you've been to Italy, China, you've supplied the goods, like all the brands, and whereas these guys were just young lads that wanted to make money and have a brand that would be cool, like seeing people wear it. And I think that's probably went a long way for you as well, like actually being in the industry rather than just starting off from scratch, like, which I think is cool. Is DJK, that's a good question for you. Was that the first idea, DJK, or have you had an idea of a clothing brand before that? Or was it the first time worked? You just went, DJK, that's it, boom, and it worked? Or did you have one before that where you tried a clothing brand and on a different name and it just didn't?
No. This was the first time.
First time around?
The reason it came about, when we were obviously selling designer goods again, obviously your inbox is always full of people messaging, asking for things. There was always like 1 in 20 messages. Do you ever think of setting up your own brand? Do you ever think of setting up your own brand? This. But when they people get to know you over the years through socials and write back the personal stuff and see like different accomplishments and wish you well, and then I would put up like the journey of how I started, and like I started like on benefits, like all that, and see like bankruptcy and all this here. So it's like nearly like become part of your journey as well. Yeah. So they were always like, oh, would you never bring out your own DJK brand, blah blah blah. And my store and website and all was always called David James Kerr. There was no like DJK. Everybody called me that on socials. Yeah. So then I was like, right, I maybe give our own brand a go. Like not how hard can it be, but it's like that's the next path to go down. Yeah. And then that's whenever it was born, and it was like, right, how do we start? What do we do? And just, as I say, the more as time's crept up recently, the more you can't do everything. So it's like we just had to draw a line and go, right, we're going to go balls deep into this and give it everything, because it's such a bigger mountain to climb. We've just reached the peak of that one, and now there's a big massive mountain over here. Yeah. So it's like, right.
But you enjoy the challenge, and
that's
the reason why you probably do it. Like,
well, I'm just 37 now, so in terms of the designer game and people within my industry, that would probably be on the younger side. Yeah. If you get me. So I think it's plenty more years in the time.
Well, you definitely do. And talking about the failures and stuff that you were talking about there, your chippy for Cod and for Ulster. Yeah. For Cod and Ulster.
For Cod and Ulster.
For Cod and Ulster. Whenever I told my barbers here that sponsor this podcast, they were like, oh, I know that guy. I remember his chippy up in Belfast. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, there's an article about it and all, you should read it. And they were excited that you were actually in the shop and they were coming down and they respect your hustle. Like, yeah. And it's just funny, like they were telling me about the menu that you had, the Ian Paisley burger and stuff. Yeah. Talk us through everything to do with the chippy, because I think it's a cool story. Like,
so the chippies, again, never interested in food, never interested in fish and chips, never interested in. I was probably always destined to have my own business, work for myself. Yeah. But I came up with a name. The name came to me for Cod and Ulster, and I was like, right, really cool play on words, obviously. What do I do with this? So my dad actually died in 2000, or sorry, what would it have been? I can't even remember the years. 2006, it's on my bracelet. So he died in 2006 and left a few quid and stuff. So I was like, right, well, we'll do this name. Sort of happened at this, around about the same time. Come up with a concept, obviously, for Cod and Ulster. On my spare time, I was like doodling on, like working out a menu and all, and then started thinking all the stuff to do with the Troubles, to do with Northern Ireland, to do with Protestant Catholics, all that. And it was sort of a bit of tongue in cheek.
Very smart marketing, like.
So it was like, I started putting the menu together. So like there was a chips section, you know, where you get like chips, gravy chip curry. So it was called like David Healy chips it in, you know, like chips the ball in. Obviously King Billy's Family Feast, £16.90 was the price. Ian Paisley burger, Gerry Adams burger, George Best burger. So we were the only place to do the George Best burger. Was like a Big Mac essentially, but it was
2 patties and 3 bits of bread.
Yes, but one patty was beef and one was chicken. So it was a beef burger and a chicken burger.
Yes.
With 3 buns.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
I mean?
That would be pretty good.
So it was like everybody was coming from everywhere to get it and stuff. But that was the whole concept. Went to a thing, wasn't working at the time. I went to a thing called the Prince's Trust.
Yeah.
So it was like a free course that was for people on benefits and stuff. Went and done that.
You do it at the Take, isn't it?
It was like a wee community thing in East Belfast had done it. So went and done it there. They ran like a business side to it, and they got me like a mentor. So there was a fish and chip shop in East Belfast, and the guy that ran it used to work for High Ramsden's. You ever remember there was a big chain of fish and chip shops called High Ramsden's?
No, maybe I'm too young. Maybe I'm not. I didn't live in Belfast at all. So
well, they were across the water really. High Ramsden's was
they?
like a big Nando's type thing, but for fish and chips.
Right,
you know, like a big chain. Probably a bust now, I don't know. But anyway, he used to be manager over here for one. I think it was New York 8 or something, and he took me under his wing. So I didn't get paid, right? Went in to learn the trade for free. So I'm in there early in the morning, 7 o'clock, peeling all the spuds, like lifting bags of dirty potatoes in the machine. One peel the potatoes, one chip the potatoes, like doing the fish, battering chicken burger sausages, pasties, like just literally learning how to change the oil in the fryers, temperatures. Like done this for like say 3 months or something like that.
Right.
To learn the ropes. While I'm doing that with him, I left a few quid with my dad and stuff. So I'm trying to like work on a business plan with the Prince's Trust. They've got me a work placement for free to learn the ropes. I jumped in a car at the time and had like an old school map, just like a booklet. I think it was even before even had like Google Maps or anything. I don't think it was just like a map.
Yeah.
And all the main roads in East Belfast was sort of marked out where all the fish and chip shops were. There was one road called the Albert Bridge Road. It didn't have one.
Right.
And I was going, right, that's the spot. So then looked up and down for retail units that were to let, found one, went to the estate agent, put an offer in, him and had back and forth, and then the offer was accepted to get a lease and stuff. And then nerves started to kick in, and I'm like, fuck, what do I do? How do you get it kitted out, blah, blah, blah. So again, the guy I was working with for free, he helped me. He put me on to the guy that fits the fryers, the fridges, the burger grill, you know, new builder guy, done my tiling, done painting, blah, blah, blah. And literally signage, you know, so I'm sitting just going with it. You know, didn't know how to run a business, didn't really know how to cook as such because I was still learning. And the guy's just like, you're just going to have to go and do it. You know, you can't stand here. And
you were young at this? How young were you at this point?
21.
21. I couldn't even imagine doing that at 21. Like.
21. So the time was creeping up, and I was like putting it off to open.
You're still a baby, like.
Yeah. All my mates are still out partying, drinking, doing whatever.
And here you are.
I'm
for Cod and Ulster, chippy man.
And because of the name as well, like there was such interest because of where the chippy was, the name it had. Like, I'll not talk about it too much, but another funny story is because of the name, because we were using Gerry Adams' name on the menu. I was like, right, maybe I need permission to use his name. Again, didn't know, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, right, so there was a Sinn Féin office on the Roma Road. Yeah, that was the closest one to me. So I'm like, right, I'll just ask, just to see. Because what I didn't want was, I think the Prince's Trust told me this actually, I didn't want to open. And then I say...
And they come down on you.
I come down, you can't use his name, you can't do this. So drove over to the Sinn Féin office, and obviously wouldn't have been somewhere I would be in usually. And walked in, the guy, yes, can I help you? And I'm like, can I speak to somebody about something? And he's like, what about? I'm like, oh, I'm opening a business in East Belfast, da da da. Right, come on into the back. So opens the door, I go in with him, locks that door, down the hall, locks another door. I'm starting to sweat a wee bit.
Oh, jeez.
Take a wee seat in that room there, and I went in, sit down, and the guy goes, how can I help you, Ian? And then as he was talking, Alex Maskey pops his head in and goes, you all right? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I says, oh, I'm opening a fish and chip shop in East Belfast. And he just looks at me, just like, what are you on about?
What are you doing here?
And I'm like, it's got a funny name, and I want to ask you something. And what's the name? I says, for Cod and Ulster. And as soon as I said that, the ice broke. He's laughing. I was like, right. And I says, listen, it's a theme menu. Gerry Adams on the menu and Ian Paisley's on the menu. So I've come to use to ask if I needed permission to use Gerry's name, blah, blah, blah. And he's just laughing. He says, yeah, some balls coming in here, kid, and all, da, da, da. So he took my mobile number and my name and says, listen, we'll speak to Gerry and we'll get back to you. So basically done the same thing to the DUP, went to their office, and Ian Paisley was still alive at the time. Can I use Ian's name? Yes, take my number, get back to you. So I just ploughed on ahead with what I was doing, set up the menu, set up the shop, opening date with such and such. Nobody ever got back to me from either of them.
Flip. So none of them actually came back with the permission?
No.
They just let you tear away?
They didn't say yes, no, nothing. Didn't even hear from any of them. So I just cracked on anyway, and then ever since it opened, it was literally flat out. More, hopefully the food was nice, but more so like people just, it's just the craze. People were actually, we printed menus, like takeaway menus, and people was coming in lifting them by handfuls. Like people was selling them on eBay. People was posting them around America, Canada, Australia as like souvenirs. Because it was just like red, white, and blue, like all to do with the Troubles. When you come in, there was like flat screen TV on the wall, and we had like DVDs, The Rats, and like all stuff to do with marching season. And it was just like
that's smart marketing, man. I give it to you. Like
statues. There's a guy in Belfast. He's actually still going. He used to make us all statues, like Gerry Adams, Mark McGuinness, the Pope, the Queen, Ian Paisley, paramilitaries, police. Like it was all like to do with the Troubles. Yeah.
What burger was more popular? Gerry Adams or Ian Paisley?
Ian Paisley, everybody always asks that. the only difference, or Gerry Adams burger was bacon and cheese, and Ian Paisley was bacon, cheese, and onion ring.
They're both quite similar.
Yeah.
Bar the onion ring,
and
the name, obviously.
Yeah, and then it always used to be a laugh because there was a big queue, and somebody used to shout out, "Can I have 2 Gerry Adams?" And then everybody used to turn around and look at him, or it was just like a bit of a banter, all the time.
Yeah, good rapport for the customers coming in,
Yeah.
And you said there was a lot of interest and people were doing mad shit, like selling the menus and stuff, but no controversy then, no trouble with that?
Never. So again, the shutters at the front of the shop, I know there's spray paint and stuff in here. Like we got an artist in and done like a caricature of Gerry Adams on one side, Ian Paisley on the other, and they were saying like something funny, and they had a fork each and a bit of food and stuff, and it was like 2 comical sayings, and it was never sprayed over and never touched. It ended up, used to be like tour buses, obviously doing the mural tours, used to come to the shop, and I used to have to go out during the middle of the day while the shop was open to put the shutters down so they could get the photo taken in front of the shutters.
Flip me, so you were part of a tour?
Honestly,
you were a place where they stopped and like tourists would
people
actually
used
want
to come in, taking photos, like taking the menus, asking loads of questions. Obviously the bot stuff, which was great, but it was more so, as I say, you thought of the name, and then this was like the big bubble that came with it, and then obviously touching on like winning awards for marketing initiatives, best enterprise, like all that type of stuff. It was cool. So
like it sounds like everything went really well for there, and like
really
well smart.
Start,
But what was the moment then where you're like, we can't do it anymore? Or the bankruptcy obviously came. But
so again,
how did that happen then?
You touched on it. Obviously, you start this when you're 21. So you're not a businessman. You're not. You've thrown at the deep end, essentially, learning as you go. And obviously me thinking, right, if I can get a second shop, that's like double the business, that's like growing, So you get a second shop, so within, I think 12 months, we store number 2.
It's quick.
Very quick. So I'm 21, 22, and I'm going between here and here. Do you know what I mean? Trying to keep both.
And you were the only man at that point, like running the place? You didn't have like a team or?
No. You had staff obviously in each, but you're trying to juggle both. And if you're working in one, you're obviously, is the food going out okay, or is there problems? Is stock running low? Because you're doing all the stock, you're doing, obviously I'm Fran as well. I'm not like a manager just sitting back, actively working. And then after another 12 months, with store number 3. So I remember like different instances where you had maybe 6 staff per store. So I have 18 staff in 22, 23. I've staff double my age. They've worked in fish and
I
chips.
can imagine the dynamics there where who you to tell me.
Yeah, they maybe worked in chippy for 15 years. And I'm like a wee baby, you know, trying to, this is the concept we do, So you're learning, like you're literally learning staff management, you're learning, you know, people skills, you're learning maybe people stealing off you, you're learning like how to run a successful business, you're learning how, when you serve out shit food, what happens, like angry customers, like delivery times, stock. You're literally learning every subject you can learn in day-to-day life. So getting back to it, the 3 stores, and then it was back in like 2010, it would have been 2010, 2011 was like whenever like the last recession was.
Yeah.
So like there was a big bubble burst, blah blah blah. Not that was like a big factor, but people's buying habits changed. 2 of the stores say started to struggle, so I'm in 1 store trying to keep it going.
Yeah.
It's maybe paying for all 3.
Yeah.
And then it's getting to the point where, you know, you're literally running yourself into the ground. Like I have kids at this point, and with my wife at this point. Like I remember instances where we're in the car on a Saturday heading to the cinema, and your phone goes, such and such has a wedding. So I'm the only person that can, you know, right, I'll try and get, they all aren't going to help, so I'll have to go drop the kids off the cinema. I'm back at work, you know, so it's like takes over your whole life. People along the journey, I'd always liked the concept, I've seen it, like ran all newspapers on the radio, all that. So it's like maybe people hanging in the wings, like I'll buy a store off you, or would you be interested in selling, would you be interested in franchising, you know, all this.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where we sort of knew we were on the ropes, if I'm being completely honest, because obviously costs are spiraling. 2 of the stores are struggling, it's not covering itself. Maybe a guy came with an offer, accepted 1 offer, offloaded 1 of the shops, then I had to do that with the 2nd shop, and then the 3rd shop, it just got too much.
Yeah.
And just ended up going bankrupt in the end. Because this time as well, when you're growing that business and you've a bit of you have 3 stores, so you're growing your profile, like invested in property and stuff at the time. Like this was all property across the water, and sort of bad advice, led down the wrong path, maybe took advantage off a wee bit, and it just bubble burst. Yeah. So I had to go bankrupt. Literally lost absolutely everything in the end.
That's crazy. I know your story a wee bit from that to this moment that you said you were on benefits, and that's when you kind of stumbled into the buying and selling. And like from one perspective it is stumbling into it, but from another perspective I guess it's strategic stumbling, because you kind of, at least you were doing something. Yeah. And you kind of knew where you wanted to be, but you maybe didn't know DJK was in you the whole time. Yeah. Or do you feel like you knew that was in you? Don't
get me wrong, when I went bankrupt, it was probably the lowest point I've ever been at, because bankruptcy for anybody would be, like when you're in school, you learn certain things, but you don't learn like the critical things. No. Like
they don't teach you about money, how to manage money. No. How to start a business.
Yeah.
Teach you to be an employee, really.
Yeah, exactly. So when that hits you, and you're trying to learn the ins and outs of it, and what does it mean in your credit file, and it's going to be on your file for 6 years, and this, and then you're just all the people that was with you in the good times, and you turn around and you're now bankrupt, and you sort of feel as if, not people's laughing at you, but it's like, well, I'll fix him or whatever. It's like you're sitting back and you fuck all. Like literally, I'm claiming job seekers. Like I don't even know what it was at the time, £90 every 2 weeks or whatever it was. So it's like I'm claiming that. I've my wife now. I've kids at the time. You know, I've gas, I've electric, I've shopping to buy. My mum was buying grocery shopping. My mum was putting electric in my meter, and this is going from somebody maybe drove a nice car, had a nice life at a time, had these 3 fish and chip shops, was doing well, and then literally everything went. Now I take the full blame. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody else. It ultimately lies with me, but just shows you bad decisions and bad, you know, management or whatever you want to say. You just don't know what's around the corner. Yeah. So I think sitting there with bankruptcy, you sort of feel as if it's not like a disease, but it's a bit of a like a you know, like a label on you. You know, like I feel like a failure. Do you know what I mean? So it took me a while. It didn't take me. It took me a few months to like hit the rock bottom and sit and digest it and go, well, I've done all this. It was like fast forward. I've done such a lot in such a short space of time and reached a lot of heights. This is a big low, but what the thing I have now is, yes, I'm claiming job seekers, which is literally scraping by, but the key thing I have is time. Yeah. And see, as soon as that penny drop moment where I'm going like, of all this time on my hands, because I wasn't the type to go, not there's anything wrong with it, I wasn't going to go and get a job at McDonald's, I wasn't going to go and get a job in Tesco, because I'm going, like, I do have a brain. What
Yeah.
am I, not saying people don't, but what I mean is I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I just need to use this time now to go, right, what can I put in place? What can I do? And I think that's whenever, as I say, I had a few bits of designer clothes still. And I was like, right, these Stone Island jackets need to go. Bought the Wing Cruise at the time before there was flannels. Put one on the eBay and I think I sold it for like 250 quid. And I was sitting there going like, I've had that 2-3 years. Say paid 500 and I've got half my money back. I said, that doesn't really look right. As in, it seems very good.
Yeah, too good to be true nearly.
So I was like, right, the 250. I went back on the eBay and was checking pre-owned jackets. And I sort of was still into my clothing, so I was like, right, I won that one for 80 quid, won that one for 60 quid. Postman brought them, took better photos, better descriptions, relisted them and just flipped them. So I was flipping second-hand coats. Didn't tell anybody because I was a wee bit embarrassed, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Because my mate goes, well, what are you doing now? Oh, I'm selling huge clothes on eBay. It didn't really sound...
Back then as well, probably.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of...
yeah, it's cool.
Now it's what you do, innit?
It's smart, smart as anything. So started doing that, and then literally, like even wee stories we've touched on in the past, like didn't have a printer. So this is very start, didn't have a printer.
Yeah.
So used to walk to the public library to pay like 5p per sheet of paper to print my eBay orders, to walk to the post office, because I didn't have a car, didn't have a printer. And then my daughter's prom, if we missed the postman, when he brought my second-hand coats I bought, if we missed him, there was like a post depot, which would have been about like 40-minute walk from my house, and I used to have to take my daughter's pram with no kid in it, walking up the road, like cars looking at you, like why is he pushing an empty pram?
I'd had the blanket and all over it, like covering it.
Maybe a wee doll or something. But empty pram to get a sack of parcels that he attempted to deliver and I wasn't in or whatever, and then walk back down the road with a grey mail sack of parcels. And I always remembered, because I used to have to do it in the piss and rain and all.
Yeah,
like,
flip me.
Not climbing a coal mine, like, but I just always remembered walking in like cars, like looking, and just, I don't know, I always just felt a bit like, you know, just, that was my daily sort of, I know it'll get better type of moment. And I was like, you know, finally, maybe after 6 months, I got a second-hand car. I bought a printer when I had the money. So just these different things were just like driving me on to go, right, I don't really want to walk the post office anymore. So if I get £60 profit off this next one, I'll go to Curry's and buy a printer. Or I'll buy a second-hand printer or Cumtree and I'll buy ink, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And just all them wee things sort of stick in your mind.
So whenever someone goes bankrupt or a business goes bankrupt, you're broke. Like you said, you didn't even have a car at this point.
No.
Like I always assumed, just whenever you would maybe see in the news like a massive business, maybe millions probably, and then the CEO goes bankrupt, I always assume, oh, he's got something, like he's got like a wee cachet of stuff, or maybe he gets some sort of dividend from it.
Yeah.
But you literally have bankruptcy zero, like £0 in the bank pretty much.
Well, obviously everybody's different, and again, maybe if you're older and you're wiser, I think back then, maybe naive, as I say, was in the property, was in the fish and chip shops, multiple rents, multiple gas, multiple electric, multiple mortgages, it fairly adds up. So that big number where they're coming at you and going, everybody wants a slice of this pie, I didn't have money away for a rainy day, I was rolling like
balling, living your life, like
like aggressive, like I want third chop, and not thinking about, well, what happens if A, B, and C happens.
But in one perspective, that's very ambitious and very, like you're really, some people would maybe applaud that and go, he's thinking about the future, expanding. Maybe you could have went about it a different way, but then from another perspective, and with hindsight, it's easy to say now it was a mistake. But at the time, you probably didn't feel like that was a mistake at all.
No, and I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would definitely still do the bankruptcy and stuff, because I think I wouldn't want to be standing today at 37 behind a fish fryer.
Yeah.
So, not that there's anything wrong with it again, but I think it just changes your path. So I'd rather go bankrupt when I was 24, 25, because there's still loads left in the tank. Whereas if you want to go bankrupt at maybe 40, 50, it's probably a bigger kick in the balls, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's true. Like learning young, and then big life events, like life event would be bankruptcy, divorce, somebody dying, whatever. It's big life events. So I think, in my personal opinion, doing something like that younger and getting over it younger and still having the drive and the determination and the persistence to get up and go, right, I've done, what's worse? What can happen worse than that again?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, just go again, it's literally like a game. You're not here on a test drive. You're here living.
This is
what's
it.
happening.
One shot,
You're here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You're right.
you know, you can release a video and it bombs, or you can release a video and it goes viral. So it's like you just have to roll with it.
Throw
and
out
just
there.
see.
Yeah.
But don't get, if you asked me at the time, I didn't say like that. But
No.
again, looking back, it's just
Older and wiser now.
yeah, definitely. And again, still a risk taker. Still,
Yeah.
as you can see,
You just took one
selling
there.
a genuinely good business to jumping into this, which again, you know, the designer business is up here, and we're starting a brand down here. It's not, the sales figures aren't the same. You know, the demand isn't the same, but that's something we have to work on, and we have to grow, and we have to grow the, you know, the interest in the brand, sort of the desire, you know, the designs, the coolness, you know, the demographic we're wanting to sell to, the influencers we're working with, you know, all that stuff is all boxes now we're actively working in full time, whereas before, as what was said, you just buy it and sell it.
And what skill do you think from your chippy days to the DJK days has translated the most? What skill do you think was the most important one that you maybe learned, or you brought it with you to this day, and you just feel like it's really important?
I would say the thing is persistence. I think that's the key thing. It's like the never give up attitude, the determination, because there's so many people in daily life, whether it's friends, whether it's people you work with, whether it's people on social media. It's like the escalator rather than the stairs. You always want the quick win. You know, like I'm going to do crypto trading. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've seen a guy that's turned £100 into £1,000 within 5 minutes, but they don't see what they don't want to see, the hard graft, or they don't want to see. They want to see the quick win.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you have to have that mindset where it's the long game. Like I talked earlier about like seed planting. Like you don't put a seed in that plant and the plant shoots up in 5 minutes. You know, it's going to take time, and you have to water it. You have to watch out for the weeds that's going to come and attack you. You have to watch out for all the different things, and trying to like nurture it and care for it, make a mistake, learn from it, change your direction, you know, take advice on board. There's good and bad advice because everybody has an opinion. So again, that's the thing where I've learned as well is, you know, we could sit here today and go, right, we're going to give £1 million to charity, and all your comments would be, oh, I just done that for publicity, I've done this for this. You know, there's so many things that everybody can sit back and, like, I'm sure you're obviously asking me the questions, but when you put your videos out, like, I'm sure you get haters.
You get the odd one or two.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're not out, like, the reason I reached out to you as well, yes, I've seen your videos pop up, and I'm going like, normal guy from Northern Ireland, doing well, relatable, you know, not being fake, you know, just like interviewing people in clubs and stuff. It was cool, and it was like relatable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
But still, you get somebody with a snide comment, or you'll get somebody trying to tear you down because for no other reason.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Just because you're out there and you're trying to do something maybe that they wouldn't do or can't do or whatever it may be. Like before I hit you with some quick fires, because I know you'll probably need to go home and eat and stuff. What's it actually like when you're walking down the street and you see someone wear your thing? Like, do you ever just want to run over and like hug them and shit? I feel like I would do that. Like do you not just want to embrace the person?
I should have hugged you then.
You should have, mate. You missed it.
No, it's a wee bit surreal, because there's that side of it, and then there's the side of it where people constantly send me photos. When people see it out and about, whether it's in Northern Ireland, whether it's in England, they'll take a photo and then screenshot it and then send it to me.
Yeah.
So I'm obviously.
Do you get pure like buzz off that?
Because it's even like big events, like people will say at Old Trafford at Man United matches. Or like the World Cup, or like, you know, there's all different like events, boxing at ringside, you know, all these things. So it's really, really cool, and it's just like, again, what you said at the start. So you said at the start, I give you confidence whenever I reached out to you and said about the clothing and stuff.
Yeah.
It gives me confidence when people are screenshotting me back, who I know people's genuinely bought it. Yeah. And are now getting spotted wearing it, and I'm getting the photo back.
Yeah.
So people are actively clocking the logo and going,
that's that boy, David.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just in different pots where people seeing it in different types of industries, different events, different styles, different designs, and like it's just building and bubbling, and it's just constantly, you know, evolving and growing.
Yeah.
So
no, it seems to be doing really well, and like obviously that boy Black Thunder wears it. I've seen Frampton wear it. Many celebrities in all different industries are wearing it. And as you say, local people as well are out there wearing it, and it's really good to see. Like,
I think as well, from us going from the designer game, there was always brands in the mainland UK. So whether it's brands like Represent, Cole Buxton,
Yep.
Trapstar, there's brands in the mainland that, have a big audience and people are attracted to. But there's never been a brand coming out of Northern Ireland that has a bit of uniqueness and people can jump and go, right, I want to be first to market with this, because people want newness all the time and they stand out. So if we were talking to people in the music industry and they're always wearing Trapstar, well, that musician, that rapper, they're all wearing the same stuff. So they want like the new thing. So hopefully for us, because Northern Ireland's like smaller, people from the mainland have started to pick it up a wee bit. And then people's going, what's that?
Aye.
So they want nearly like to be first into Liverpool, Birmingham, London, Manchester with this new logo. And it's different, it's new, there's only one place you can get it and it's in a different country. So we've sort of found that recently in the past couple of weeks.
It's kind of similar to your chippy, like the way the tour buses would have stopped because it's a Northern Ireland chippy from the menu to everything about it. It's the same with DJK. Like maybe people come over on stags or holidays. Oh, whenever we're in Belfast, we must stop in at that DJK place in Belfast, get some clothes from there. Yeah. It's exclusive.
Yeah. There's a bar and all in the shop. Like you've been
the shop's banging, mate.
It's like
get a Corona while you're there.
Yeah.
I think that's key. I think customers and people need experiences now rather than just the product.
Yeah, I
feel like it's all about that as well.
Even since COVID again, the market's changed. You have to give so much extra because food falls down. Yeah. Obviously, people's spare income's down, so you have to give that X factor to try and keep, people interested in your brand, keep them following the story, buy into what you're doing. You can't just expect, as you say, to walk in, get crap service, support a business or a brand, and then expect them to come back.
Nothing worse than the worst service.
That's nearly par on par with the product now.
100%. I think probably more so maybe.
Yeah.
See, whenever I was in Starbucks, man, best job, probably one of my best jobs I ever had, apart from the social media that I do now. But I loved giving the service, and I always look out for it. Yeah. See, anytime I go to a Starbucks, if they aren't hitting on me on the till, I'm fuming. I'm like, you need to hit on me. That's your bloody job.
Yeah.
I used to do it all the time, so it's definitely part of the experience. And that's good. Right, we'll hit you some quick fire questions. So just going to hit you, mate. Pile of quick fire questions. Just answer it. Boom. Yeah, will not be too long. So, what's your favorite brand to wear that isn't obviously yours? You've stocked many of them. What one did you always cop? I'll have to buy an extra one just so I can definitely get it.
Probably Dior.
Dior?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Just because it's so exclusive. It's a bit unique, and it'd be like a certain just clientele that would wear it. It wouldn't be. You wouldn't. If you walked into the club in Belfast, there'd be one guy.
To be fair, I can't think of any.
Do you know what I mean?
Off the top of my head, even people wearing it.
Yeah. So,
what's the most important part of an outfit? You're obviously a fashionable guy.
I would say shoes.
I would agree, 100%. I was about to say it has to be shoes.
Yeah, because I don't even know. When you're out in the clubs and you're doing your question answers, then you say to a woman, you'd probably say footwear. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've read that before anyway. Yeah.
No, I agree, 100% shoes. I suppose that leads on to, I take it, DJK plan for shoes then?
Yeah, I would say, again, footwear market, it would be a task to create. Obviously, you've got all the different molds and Nikes, and nearly every shape and style of shoes probably been done before. So it's trying to reinvent the wheel of how to get a cool design and a cool mold and a cool product that stands on its own and is not a replica of a Nike or a Dior or whatever it is. But yes, definitely would love to do the footwear. Yeah. And again, probably one of the guys that's, whether people like him or hate him or like his brand or not, Tommy Mallett's obviously done Mallet footwear. It's been super successful, stocked in many stores around the globe now. Yeah. But just shows you he's muscled into the market of footwear and just got his name in there in that price point. It's not super luxury, not super cheap, just sort of sits there.
Yeah, it's a nice spot. There you go. You heard it here first. Make sure you cop some DJK shoes when they drop.
Yeah.
How long are you married now? That's not a trick question, but
10, 11 years.
10 years. That's
12 years.
12 years.
2010.
Unreal. What would be your your ideal date night then? If you're out with a wife, what's your best date night?
Well, my wife would say go to the cinema, I would say. But We're quite.
I take it you're for the cinema on Friday. Avatar's out.
Is it?
Avatar's out on Friday, yeah.
Right.
You watched the first one, I'm going to say? This is like a big one, like, this is mad. Are you watching it? No?
Is this the blue people?
Yeah, the blue people. The first movie, mate, was out 10 plus years ago now. 2010, I think.
I vaguely remember it.
So,
yeah. Was it that good?
It was that good.
You're over the moon here.
I was in high school at the time, and like I loved it. Like, and then whenever I knew that I think he's bringing out another 3 now. James Cameron movies. Like, no, I'm a big fan. Like, big fan.
Right. Well, when Mrs. watches this, she'll be expecting me to take her. So she loves the thing.
Mrs. Kerr, you're going on Friday.
No, but she loves the cinema, and to be honest, I'm not too fussed. But I think she would agree. Like date night, yes, you can go out for a meal, you go out for a drink and stuff. But to be honest, like me and her's quite easily pleased. Like we're more than happy staying in the house, having a Chinese.
Yeah, perfect.
Watching it, like we're watching. You ever heard of Yellowstone?
Is that on Netflix?
I think it's on Paramount or Netflix. So it's like
I think I've heard of it.
It's like your man Kevin Costner's in it, and it's like a country and western type series thing. Oh, so I'm not really big into my series, but she's got.
I'm not really, like, to be fair.
So I'm like all of this now. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we're just quite simple. Just
Yellowstone Chinese.
Just relax. Yeah, 3 kids, a dog. You know, so in that business, kids, football, dog, missus. Like, yeah, busy.
Who's going to win the World Cup? From the minute this video was released, we're in the semis at the minute.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see the results today, so
I haven't seen it.
Right, okay, so who are you going for then? And then I'll actually check.
Argentina.
You going for Argentina?
Is
it for Messi?
Yes, because I think Ronaldo's out now, so I think it's written in the stars. I think and Ronaldo, from what you've seen over the past couple of weeks or months, he sort of blew up a wee bit. So I think Messi's like nearly taking the crown. Like who's better? He's sort of kept himself dignified. Like PSG, whatever happens, he just carries on. Yeah. Ronaldo's threw his toys at a pram. Like I would always have picked Ronaldo myself, but I just think in terms of how he's probably carried himself or how he's
the Piers Morgan interview was
things,
a bit.
You know, he's done everything. So sitting back and going, well, I'm not playing. You know, yes, there's 2 ways to go about it. And I think just bursting your bubble on the very last. You know,
he's going out on a bad way, and it's sad. It's actually sad. I'm an Arsenal fan, like, so I don't really have a bias.
I'm a United fan, so.
So you have to love, and even you're saying that.
I know. I just think.
I feel like you kind of have to love Ronaldo, don't you?
At the end of the day, if you're the king of your trade, whether you're a movie star, a footballer, a boxer, you know, you're number one. Yeah. So there's other ways to.
I'd do it.
You know, if you're too big for the club, go out in the right way. Do you know what I mean?
Not disrespecting the manager.
Do you know what I mean? Because you can't argue with what he's done.
Yeah. So no, definitely not. Well, Argentina's up 2-0. Messi did score a penalty, and there's 30 minutes to go. So you're on track to maybe be right on that one.
By the time this is edited, Argentina could have won.
Argentina could have won. No, this will be out before the final. So we'll see if you're right on that one.
Yeah. Get your money out. Don't gamble. Gamble responsibly.
Last couple of questions then. Favourite alcoholic drink on a night out? What's your go-to, mate?
I usually go for Corona with lime, and I really, really like the squeezed lime in. So I take an extra squeeze.
Plenty of lime in that.
Plenty of lime, yeah. So if you see me out, it's your round.
I'll know what to get. That's what I get myself. So
there you go.
Yeah. Although I had whiskey sours recently, and I have to say, quite good. Aye. So I think I do kind of. I always go for the Corona lime, like yourself, but I always like to have kind of 2 drinks in hand because the bars can be busy and shit. And I like
you're just greedy.
I'm just a bit mad, so I always kind of go just for like a vodka Coke or Corona.
Right.
But recently I had whiskey and ginger ale, and I tried a whiskey sour where it's kind of like shaken with like egg white and stuff. Don't know if you've seen that. It's kind of like a whiskey cocktail essentially in a way. Yes. But I have to admit, very, very nicely.
Yeah. Well, I've when you touch on whiskey, for whatever reason, I went through a spell of like drinking whiskey. So I drink like Jameson's whiskey, ginger ale, loads of ice.
Yeah.
And the squeeze lime.
Yep.
Drink that, and then probably for the past 2 years, birthday, Christmas, everybody and their dog buys me bottles of whiskey.
Oh, it's just shit ton now. And you can only drink so much.
Exactly. So I have a bar at the house called after my dog, Chester's, and literally the whole thing's
just whiskey.
Like bottles of whiskey, and I'm like, I'm never ever going to get through it.
Have you tried a proper 12 McGregor's?
I've got a bottle, but I haven't tried it.
I was down there recently, and I bought a bottle. It's good. It's not too bad.
And what do you think of his place? I haven't been there.
Really nice. No, it's actually in a rougher area than I thought. Like it's obviously not in Dublin. It's kind of.
Is it like 30-40 minutes away from Dublin?
I would say about 20 minutes maybe.
Right, okay.
But it's just in a place. I don't know. It's in a nice, not the nicest area, but it's a really nice place.
Yes.
In that area, but I think it's probably where he's from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like he doesn't obviously.
So it sticks out like a sore thumb.
It does kind of stick out a bit, but everybody that's in it, mate, is tight as fuck. Like, you can tell, just people that fight go there.
Right. Okay.
Like the guy sitting beside us, Ethan's that like had 2 black eyes and a fucked up nose, like.
Right.
And the bouncer was like 6'9" and he'd kick the shit out of anybody. You can just tell people that go there, they kind of are tight, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't want to be messing about in there, you know.
Well, it's definitely on the.
But it's good. I highly recommend it. Like 100%, you should go.
It says in the thing like neat dress essential, and all, so everybody's dressed up. It's all like.
Aye, well, we were smart casual, you know. Aye.
Music and all.
Music was good. Well, actually, they were playing the World Cup. There was a World Cup game on at the time.
And you got food.
I got food, aye.
Nice.
Food and drink. Food was really good. Cheap as well.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised about.
Uh-huh.
I think we got like a roast dinner special, €16.
Well, city centre of Dublin, you probably go to a cafe
Aye.
and it'd be dear.
I'd say Belfast is probably dearer than that if you go for a roast dinner.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably paying about 20 quid minimum.
Yeah.
So not big fan. I'll definitely go again. Although the drive's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you should.
Make sure you give me a shout.
Yes, give me a shout. We'll go down someday in the DJK.
Yes.
Give some to McGregor. No, that's us wrapped up for today. Thanks so much again.
Yes.
For coming down. And if you want to buy some DJK, check them out. It's at DJK Belfast, at DJK International handles. Is that right?
Yes, on Instagram. Yes.
Yeah. TikTok channel as well, and you got the DJK website as well.
Yes.
Of course, the man himself, James Kerr. Check him out and reach out anytime. And yeah, thank you so much. Episode 9's over. Thanks for listening, checking in. All the links will be in the bio, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers.